Hi kids, it's great to see you again. How has your summer been? It's been an amazing summer, hasn't it? Perhaps you were really keen to get back to school. I know my children were after such a long time off, although it was a lovely summer of really bright sunshine. I hope you had time to get away and spend time with your families. We have, of course, come round full circle, as it were, and we're now at harvest again. Sadly, this year we can't do our harvest service in church because of all the COVID-19 restrictions, but we can still celebrate harvest, and quite right too, because of course harvest is an opportunity for us to give thanks for the wonderful produce of the earth, for the things that God gives us so that we can be sustained, so that we can have fuel for our bodies. And of course, most of us, especially in this part of the world, in this part of our country, in East Anglia, we have so much wonderful green produce at this time of year. You'll have seen the farmers in the last few months cutting all the corn locally and doing their own harvesting. And we give thanks, of course, today for all of their efforts to keep all of us fed. But let's have a little bit of a think about where our food comes from. It's so easy for us, isn't it, to just eat the food that's put before us, go to the supermarket and buy it and cook it and eat it without a second thought about where our food comes from. And so now we're going to have a little think about where our fruit and vegetables begin. So how many of you like a nice bowl of sweet corn, or maybe eating sweet corn off the cob? Here is some sweet corn, and I've just picked this from these wonderful plants here. Look, these are sweet corn plants, and I've just picked that from there, just pulled that off there, and that's what your sweet corn looks like when it comes straight off the plant. Now, I'll just put my camera down for a second. If we pull off all of this husk from around the edge of the plant itself, we'll find inside the fruit of the sweet corn, which is here. Look, here it is. Can you see? Now, some of you will be used to having that boiled in a pan with a bit of butter and eating it straight off there like that. But these, isn't it interesting? Look, these, when they get a bit older on the plant, turn to seed. And it's each one of these that's then planted in the ground to give us plants like this once they grow. And then off these plants, we get the fruit growing like that. It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it wonderful? And just to think, that's just one plant, one of the things that God's created so that we can have food. And so that we can survive, and so that other animals can survive. We've got some other seeds around here somewhere that that a friend of mine just gave me to show you. So we've got some beetroot seeds. How many of you have beetroot with your salad? Perhaps your parents do. We have a little look at the beetroot seed. Look at this. This is a beetroot seed. Can you see? I'm going to show you now how small. Look how tiny a beetroot seed is. Look at that. And we're going to go and have a little look now. So that beetroot seed, just like the sweet corn seed, would have been planted all the way back in the spring, perhaps April time. And if we wander up here now in the allotment, look at this lovely allotment. If we wander up here now, we'll see a plant. Can you see a plant, look, with very, where are we? I can't see what I'm showing you. Can you see the plant, look, with very purple stems, these beautiful leaves? These leaves, by the way, are wonderful in salads, and the stems, if you mix them with a little bit of salt, are wonderful to put on the side of a salad. Lots of iodine, which is really good for you. And then if you look here, you'll see that here, look, that, where are we? That is a beetroot. So you boil that up, put it in some vinegar, and you've got pickled beetroot, which you might often have with your salads at home. Amazing, isn't it? I've got some more things to show you as well, and we'll have a look at those now. How many of you have parsnips with your Sunday roast, when you have a Sunday roast? Roast parsnips. Oh, one of my favourite things in the world, roast parsnips. Well, parsnips are sown in April as well as little tiny seeds. And if we just look at these are funny little seeds. I don't know if you can see this. I'll see if I can show you my hand. But look, where's my hand gone? There it is. Can you see those little seeds in the palm of my hand? They are parsnip seeds. And they're planted in the ground in April. And then from about now through till sort of November time, they'll start to be harvested as proper parsnips like you'd see in the supermarket quite often. And we're going to have a look at those now. They're up here, look. And here we are. So this is the first parsnip of the season. Look at that. Where is it? Look at that. Nice, juicy parsnip. Look at that. Can you see it? So that's a parsnip. You'd cut off those roots. You'd give it a bit of a peel. Cut it into decent sized chunks. Put it in a nice pan with some oil in the oven, and you've got roast parsnips. Beautiful. Also good in stews and things, parsnips. So that's parsnips. And we'll finish, shall we, with one last fruit that most of you will recognise. It's probably the most common fruit that we use in cooking today. And it's tomatoes. So whenever you have a salad, you might have tomatoes, but you'll also have tomatoes in your tomato sauce, of course, which has to accompany almost everything in my house, rather sadly. Or you might have it in your pasta sauce. It's a base for a lot of Italian cooking, a lot of Mediterranean cooking. And look at this. This is how small tomato seed is. And again, that will be planted in a nice sunny position, in some nice fertile compost, around about February or March, probably in a separate pot normally. And then it will be planted out into the actual final place where it will grow fully a bit later in the year, probably May or early June. And we're going to wander up now to the tomatoes so that we can have a little look at what those tomatoes look like now, remembering that they were first planted way back in February or March. And this is how they look now. Look at these tomatoes. These are amazing. So these ones are growing in a greenhouse. Look at this. That is one huge tomato. And there's more of them. Look, there's not just one of them. Look, there's another. Look, they're all over it. Can you see? Tomatoes everywhere. And look, just imagine how juicy that tomato would be. You could have that in your salad, or you could put it on a pan to roast, or you might have it in your Italian sauces, like I was saying, or you might turn it into a puree. You might have chopped tomatoes in your stew or your soup. It's just amazing what you can do with tomatoes. And that's that. But of course, we also harvest other things. Here, seeds similar size to what we just saw with tomatoes, planted out a little bit later, perhaps April, May time. Look at that. Beautiful marigolds. Beautiful flowers. And of course, if you go into the shops, you'll find flowers like these, often by the door, won't you, in the supermarkets and things, in bouquets. Because we harvest flowers so that we can give them to people to show that we love them, or to show that we appreciate them. And of course, flowers also brighten up a room and fill the room with beautiful floral fragrance. So flowers are a thing that we should give thanks for as well. But there is so much more that we can give thanks for. It's endless. We've got blackberries. See all those lovely blackberries that have been cultivated here. Beautiful blackberries. Look at that. We have raspberries, which, see the raspberries, there they are. We've got marrows. Look at the beautiful marrow. You see the marrow? I'm not very good at this, but you see the marrow? Look at that. Look at that for a marrow. Wonderful, isn't it? And if we come over here, we can see squash. These ones are a grey squash. Can you see that big grey squash there? It's like a pumpkin, cross between a pumpkin or a butternut squash that you might get in the supermarket. Just looks slightly different, but it's the same kind of vegetable or fruit. And my friend Steve here, look, is busy digging up. Yep, you've got it, potatoes. Those are the very same potatoes you'd get in the supermarket, ready to harvest now. Make your chips or your roast potatoes or your mashed potatoes. I mean, how often do we have potatoes in our daily diet? Most days, I imagine. And so all of this, we need to give thanks for. I mean, God has created all this wonderful variety in nature for us to enjoy, to feed us, to give us nutrition. And as we give thanks, we also need to be very aware that not everyone in the world is able to access all of this wonderful nutrition in the abundance that we do. It's not by any means shared equally across the earth. In England, we're very lucky because our climate enables us to grow lots and lots of flowers and vegetables. But in places of Africa, Central America, the temperature is so hot that it's simply a real struggle to grow the most basic of things. And so as we give thanks, we also need to think about those who are less fortunate, who perhaps don't nearly get enough nutrition and are hungry a lot of the time. And also we need to think about how we might be generous with what we have, whether that's sharing with the food bank in the doorway to church. You'll see it in the south porch the north porch of St Mary's Church in Boxford. There's a bring and share food bank. Please do support that. Get your parents to support it. It's really important that we're generous in offering some of the abundance we have to those in our own villages who may not have as much. We might also want to think about how we can be generous in other ways. If we can't, for instance, manage to give people produce because they live too far away or we don't know who they are, we can give a bit of our money towards charities or the local church or other institutions that help to support those who are weak or poor. So that's our harvest message. I hope you have a splendid time celebrating harvest in your individual groups in school, and I hope this video has been at least a small bit towards helping you think a little more about all the abundance God gives us and the reasons why we should be grateful and generous. Bye now. God be with you. God bless.